Tonight, troops of Operation Hadinkai arrest many Boko Haram fighters, including their logistics supplier, as 8 other fighters surrender alongside members of their families in Borno State. It's twists and turns ahead of tomorrow's nationwide APC World Congresses as court holds exercise in Bayelsa State. Party leaders in parts of the country plead for hitch-free event. And Kaduna State government files fresh charges against leader of the proscribed Islamic movement in Nigeria, Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaky, less than 48 hours after being discharged and acquitted. And World Health Organization warns world is at risk of losing hard-won gains in COVID-19 fight. Plus business, sports, news from Abuja, and later international news from our studio in London. The Court of Appeal in Abuja has set aside the judgment of Justice Olukayode Adeniyi of the Federal Capital Territory High Court, which sacked the Executive Council of the People's Democratic Party in Anambra State. Delivering judgment in one of 2 appeals brought before the court, the 3-man panel led by Justice Stephen Adda upheld the appeal filed against the judgment of the lower court. Justice Adda held that the lower court lacked the territorial jurisdiction to have heard the suits brought before it on the dispute over the leadership of the PDP in Anambra State. Mr. Samuel Anyokola had filed a suit at the FCT High Court, Abuja, claiming that the PDP arbitrarily imposed the state chairman, ESCO, and other national delegates on members in its Southeast Zonal Congress of the 6th of March 2021. He further declared that all Congresses designations made by the PDP were nullified and set aside.
The court, once more, has reiterated that courts in Nigeria, their jurisdictions are precisely prescribed by the Constitution. Section 257, sub 1 of 1999 Constitution as amended, clearly stated the jurisdiction of all courts in the FCT within the Federal Capital Territory, to the extent that they can only hear and determine matters that are called within Abuja. But for His Lordship Adeniyi to have decided to hear a matter about Anambra PDP state chapter, the leadership, is actually surprising to us, against plethora of decided authorities, including that of the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court. So in a nutshell, the Court of Appeal, like I said earlier, once more made it clear that courts in Abuja should be handling matters that happened in Abuja, and that litigants, those serial litigants, they should also file their matters in the area where the cause of action arose, and not going on forum shopping, causing confusion here and there. That's just what happened. So this is an opportunity to also say that the nomination of Valentine Ozigbo by Anambra delegates is once again confirmed, and it has been once again stated to be sacrosanct.
And less than 48 hours after he was discharged and acquitted by a Kaduna State High Court, the state government has filed fresh charges against the embattled leader of the Islamic movement in Nigeria, Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaky. A Kaduna State High Court presided over by Justice Gideon Kurada had on Wednesday discharged and acquitted El-Zakzaky and his wife Zinat from the 8-count charge pressed against them by the Kaduna State government for lack of merit. However, not satisfied with the ruling, the Kaduna State government on Thursday filed fresh 7-count charges against the IMN leader at the Federal High Court. The State Director of Public Prosecution, Darius Bayero, told Channels Television that the charges borders on terrorism and treasonable felony against the state and the federal government. He explains that some of the actions of the IMN leader upon which he is being charged with fresh allegations dated back before 2015, adding that by the new charges, the court will consequently issue an order for the arrest of El-Zakzaky for him to answer for the charges. And for the 5th day running, youths from the 4 Ogoni-speaking local government areas along the Eleme axis of the East-West Road in Rivers State have continued their protests over the condition of Eleme on-air section of the road. The protesters, under the auspices of Ogoni People's Assembly, had on Monday blocked the road with heavy-duty trucks to demand that the dilapidated part of the road in Ogoni be reconstructed They are now demanding at least 3 flyovers to be constructed at strategic locations and the only bridge on that stretch to be remodeled. The youth had vowed not to reopen the roads until contractors were mobilized to begin work.
We demand the following: that the Honorable Minister for Niger Delta Affairs immediately returns the deplorable Eleme-One section of the East-West Road back to the Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund, or look for money to commence this work within 14 days from today.
What started out as a threat on July the 7th has blown into a full-scale siege by protesting youths in Rivers State. It peaked on July the 26th with protesters blocking off the road in Eleme, which connects 9 local government areas to Port Harcourt. They're asking the Federal Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs to immediately begin the reconstruction of the 15-kilometer Eleme stretch of the East-West Road and remodel the only connecting bridge. Now it's the 5th day of the protest and momentum keeps increasing, forcing people in their hundreds to walk long distances. Needless to say, businesses have been greatly affected.
From here to One as a whole, people suffer by trekking, and if not this, by this time, if they give up, I think it's going to be a serious thing.
With a standby generating set, live performances entertain the protesters who clearly are not ready to back down unless the contractors are mobilized to site.
We are fully prepared. We are not joking. You can see most of us stays in Dubai, some of us stay outside the country, but all of us who have decided to come down, we are back for this gesture. So we have the capacity to stay here till Christ come. Till Christ come.
The vice chairman of Eleme joins the protests to condemn the state of infrastructure.
So as a local government council, we can't watch our people suffer. That means we're saying the same thing our people are saying. Let the federal government come and work our roads. As at last week, a 30 years old child died. If the road was properly done, there wouldn't be need for taking one way for another car to hit the other.
The Akpajo-One section of the East-West Road, measuring 15 kilometers with a connecting bridge that is near collapsing, serves over 200 companies, including the One Seaport, Port Harcourt Refineries and the Nigerian Ports Authority, amongst others.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs is appealing to protesting Niger Delta youths to exercise patience over the state of the East-West Road, saying the federal government is fully aware of their concerns. According to Mr. Godswill Akpabio, work on the Eleme-One section of the road will begin immediately, as the consultant has been instructed to pay compensation to residents whose structures have been demolished because of the project. The minister made the clarifications after a closed-door meeting with the company handling the project in Abuja, adding that the company has given the assurance that the road will be completed before the end of 2022.
I've been assured after a very robust discussion with the RCC construction company that yes, indeed, given the requisite funds, they can still meet up with the deadline earlier announced. So my appeal now is for the youths and the concerned citizens of the Niger Delta region, particularly the Ogoni people and the Eleme local government people, to give way for the construction giants to move in and commence work while the other, while we seek, we've already sought for the approval of the redesign, which we have submitted already to the federal government. There are processes, and we are on top of the situation. So what we have done now is that we had earlier given about 4.9 billion for compensation, which represented the normal 15%, but they couldn't do much because after 14 to 15 years, a lot of structures have come up and there is need for compensation. So we've decided to touch the contingency fund enshrined in the contract to take care of the compensation. And we have directed that the consultants should start the compensation from tomorrow.
And 3 people are feared dead after a bridge collapsed in Bauchi State due to heavy downpour in the early hours of today that lasted several hours. The bridge, located in Malka village, links Bauchi, Ningi local government area, Jigawa and Kano State. 3 persons were killed after their vehicle plunged into the water. Following the incident, passengers on the road were left stranded on both sides. Meanwhile, a heavy downpour is also said to have affected a culvert located at Nabodo, 40 kilometers away from Bauchi town. As a result, commuters on the Bauchi-Jos Road have been forced to seek alternative routes to their destinations. Head of the Federal Road Maintenance Agency in Bauchi, Mr. Nanpan Jora, says arrangements are being made to address the plight of road users. And the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, is set to begin the rollout of 5th generation services across the country. This is according to the Executive Vice Chairman of NCC, Professor Umar Dambata, at a public inquiry on the instruments necessary for the deployment of the technology. Professor Dambata explains that the Commission has submitted the proposal to the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy and is waiting for approval from the federal government to roll out the services soon.
We have, countries already deploying 5G services in this spectrum, or using this resource below the 1 gigahertz, band. Then we have the mid-band, and this is between 1 to 10 gigahertz. And of course, the 3.5, 3.4, 4 gigahertz, 5, up to 6, up to 10. You find, again, many countries have already started deploying. Operators have started in some countries providing 5G services. Okay? And, of course, you have the high band, which is about 10 gig. People call this one the millimeter wave band. So those are the 3 categories of spectrum we're talking about when it comes to 5G. And I think this country, under the able leadership of the board, as well as the Commissioner of Communications and Digital Economy, is poised to, we hope, very soon deploy 5G services. All the groundwork is about to be completed. The plan that will guide the deployment has gone to the board, and the board has approved, and it has gone to the federal government for the final approval. So if you are quoting me, correctly. Thank you. That the Commission does not have the final say in deployment of 5G services in this country. It is, the prerogative of the federal government of the country to direct the Commission to proceed.
In part 2, after the break, ahead of tomorrow's nationwide APC World Congresses, party leaders in parts of the country plead for a hitch-free event. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Troops of Operation Heading Kai arrest many Boko Haram fighters, including their logistics supplier, as 8 other fighters surrender alongside members of their families in Borno State. Its twists and turns ahead of tomorrow's nationwide APC World Congresses as court halts exercise in Bayelsa State. Party leaders in parts of the country plead for hitch-free event. Kaduna State government files fresh charges against the leader of the proscribed Islamic movement in Nigeria, Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaky, less than 48 hours after being discharged and acquitted. And World Health Organization warns world is at risk of losing hard-won gains in COVID-19 fight. And to security, the heat on Boko Haram terrorists is on, and there seems to be no stopping the troops of Operation Hadinkai fighting the insurgents in the northeast. Part of their latest feat is the surrender of 8 of the insurgents and their families, comprising 10 adult females and 22 children, who were taken into custody at Ruwaza village in Bama local government area of Borno State. In a similar development, troops of Forward Operational Base operating along Bokob's Bama Road have been arrested, or rather have arrested many Boko Haram fighters and their families at Bewa village, also in Bama local government area. According to the Director, Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Onyema Nwachukwu, they gave in following ongoing intense clearance operations by troops in the general areas. He says in a separate operation, troops of 73 Battalion Forward Operating Base, in conjunction with combined team of Civilian Joint Task Force and hunters, also intercepted a Boko Haram terrorist logistics supplier during a patrol along Mulai Dambour Road, where they arrested the male suspect. Into politics now, where members of the All Progressives Congress will tomorrow file out to choose their executives at the ward level across the country. Amid the enthusiasm, there are uncertainties surrounding the exercise, particularly in some parts of the country. In Bayelsa, a court has ordered an interim injunction restraining the state chapter of the party from conducting the Congress. However, some leaders of the party are appealing for peaceful exercise.
All appears not to be well with the APC in Bayelsa State, as Justice Yekemi Uzaka of the State High Court gives an interim injunction halting its planned Congress, a move which angers members who were keenly looking forward to the exercise.
There is a substantive suit that has been filed that is pending determination, but together with it there is a motion on notice we also filed, as well as a motion ex parte seeking an interim injunction to restrain the All Progressive Congress, particularly its national leadership, the caretaker committee, from proceeding with the conduct of the ward congresses.
The former senator representing Rivers Southeast, Magnus Abe, cautions his supporters against disrupting the conduct of Saturday's Ward Congress. Some supporters claim they were denied an opportunity to purchase nomination forms, a move Mr. Abe describes as unfair.
From all factions, they talk to me. They are pained. They want this to come to an end. And I will do everything. I'll make every sacrifice that is necessary to ensure that we have peace in this party and that we're able to bring Rivers people together, not just those who are currently in the APC, even those who are in other parties, those who are political. We're able to bring them together to form a formidable and effective group.
In the meantime, the Abia State chapter of the APC has also resolved to go ahead with its Ward Congress on Saturday, July 30th, with an appeal to party faithful to come out en masse to vote. In neighboring Imo State, Governor Hope Uzodinma assures party supporters that the party will follow the laid-down guidelines for the Congress as stipulated by the national body.
We want to build a very strong, robust family that will win all elections. We are going to introduce an integration process that will integrate every member of our party into the party in a manner that he can, from that platform, acquire to contest elections through democratic process.
And as the political atmosphere gathers steam ahead of the APC World Congress, Governor David Umahi of Ebonyi State warns committee members in the state to desist from any form of manipulation of results.
The 5-man committee have looked at the list. If you play any mago, I will put you in prison. It doesn't matter who you are.
Preparations have also reached advanced stages for the APC World Congresses in the southwest. In Lagos, the party's National Committee held a stakeholders meeting ahead of the exercise, where the National Committee chairman rules out guidelines for the exercise.
The mode of election, going by the guidelines, is stated that A, there should be consensus. All party positions prescribed or implied by the party's constitution as above stated for the congresses should be filled by democratically conducted elections at their respective congresses.
The six-man State Ward Congress Committee in Ogun also held a crucial meeting with officials, members of the APC, as well as the state governor, Dapo Abiodun, to set out modalities for Saturday's Congress. Addressing the gathering, Governor Dapo Abiodun calls for the enthronement of internal democracy as well as unity of purpose.
APC, Excellency.
Given the importance of this exercise to the All Progressives Congress, its leaders believe that if everything goes well at this stage, then it can be described as a step in the right direction.
And following the recent confirmation of more cases of the Delta variant of COVID-19 in several states, and as the APC Congress gets on the way, the Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19 has called on political parties, state governments, Independent National Electoral Commission and state independent electoral commissions to ensure strict compliance to the COVID-19 protocols. In a statement, the chairman of the Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19, Mr. Boss Mustafa, notes that such events must be carefully controlled to ensure maximum public safety to avoid transmitting the infection among the population. The committee therefore cautions political parties to institute public health and social measures in all locations where political events will take place. The measures include the mandatory use of the face mask for everyone attending these political events. Persons without face masks should not be allowed to access to the venues. Also, hand hygiene facilities, including soap and water. Alternatively, hand sanitizers should be made available for people before gaining access to the venues. Also, enclosed venues should be adequately ventilated and must not exceed 50% of the venue capacity. A minimum of 2 meters should be observed among people at the gathering. To other stories, the Adamawa State Government has commended the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, helping the state realize its objectives in the fight against corruption and other vices. The Deputy Governor gave the commendation during the commissioning of the newly built ICPC office in Yola, the Adamawa State capital. Chairman of ICPC reveals that the Commission was obliged by the Establishment Act to set up offices in the 36 states of the Federation, and the Adamawa State office is among the second set of state offices established in 2007.
Taking the fight against corruption to the next level in Adamawa State is what this gathering is all about. The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission and the state government are working hand in hand to realize a common objective of curbing corrupt practices.
State House.
Hence the commissioning of this new edifice of the ICPC in Yola, Adamawa State.
The government and the people of Adamawa State value the physical presence of ICPC, especially its contribution to the promotion of integrity, transparency, and accountability in governance. Indeed, the government and the law-abiding people of Adamawa State have been trying their best to key into the activities of ICPC, especially the various reforms it has introduced in recent times.
Please put your hands together for the honor.
The Anti-Corruption Agency is saddled with the responsibility of prohibiting and prescribing punishment for corrupt practices, and the chairman believes the edifice will help fulfill its statutory mandate.
This one-story edifice has a conference room, offices, investigation rooms, detention facilities, amongst other necessities. We believe that the edifice will enhance the productivity of our officers and assist us to fulfill our statutory mandate in an atmosphere that is conducive, that will serve not just the federal government, but indeed the people of Adamawa State and contiguous states of Taraba and Borno State.
Thank you.
First, the commissioning. Then the ICPC chairman leads the deputy governor and other officials on a tour of the facility.
If the person at the helm of affairs shows example by his conduct that he is not tolerating corruption or he is out to fight corruption, it doesn't matter who is involved, then everybody will fall in line. The greatest support in the fight against corruption is public support. And without public support, without public engagement, everything you keep talking about will not go far. So with the partnership between the ICPC, the civil society,
then you can be sure there will be greater community engagement, community support, and the sustainability of the gains of the ICPC in Adamawa State.
Corruption is a major challenge known to hold back development and investment, but with the establishment of state offices like these and support from state governments, the Anti-Graft Agency says it's strengthened to play its role effectively.
When the news at 10 returns, UN applauds Nigeria's effort in tackling human trafficking, but says the nation is one of the countries with the highest number of human trafficking victims. Please join us again. Let's go over to Abuja, where we have some more stories. Here's Markwe Ogun-Yusuf. Hello, Markwe.
Hello, Millicent. It's good to see you. But it's not one of the best statistics to emerge, as Nigeria remains a country of origin, transit, and destination for victims of human trafficking, and one of the countries with the highest number of detected human trafficking victims. The United Nations Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator in Nigeria, Mr. Edward Callon, stated this during the commemoration of World Day Against Human Trafficking in Abuja. So far, 17,000 victims of trafficking have been rescued in Nigeria, while 560 traffickers have been convicted and sentenced to jail. He, however, applauded the country's efforts in raising awareness on the crime and protecting its victims both at home and abroad, urging the federal government to strengthen measures geared towards prevention, support of victims, and bringing perpetrators to justice.
I commend the government of Nigeria and the National Agency for the prohibition of trafficking in persons, for the important work done in recent years to better prevent trafficking in persons, to raise awareness on the crime all over Nigeria, and to protect victims identified both in Nigeria and abroad. We particularly welcome the development of a new national action plan against human trafficking, currently being produced with the assistance of UNODC and the general support of the government of Switzerland. Furthermore, we greatly appreciate the federal government's endeavors to assist returning migrants, including victims of human trafficking and internally displaced persons in the northeast of this country. Despite these significant efforts, Nigeria continues to be a country of origin, transit, and destination for victims of human trafficking, and one of the countries with the highest number of detected human trafficking victims. One possible solution presents itself in the theme of this year, which has already been alluded to by the barrister, World Day Against Trafficking in Persons, which is Victims' Voices Lead the Way. It is extremely important to listen and learn from Nigerian survivors of human trafficking. They can play a crucial role in establishing effective measures against trafficking by identifying and rescuing victims and supporting them in their road to rehabilitation.
Well, staying with that story, the Delta State government is sensitizing students against human traffickers who lure minds with fake promises of better life overseas. The campaign, with the theme Catch Them Young and Teach Them Goodness initiative, which held at the Okpanam High School in Oshimidi North local government area, featured testimonies from victims of trafficking narrating their ordeal. Former Director General of the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, Julie Oka-Donley, and other stakeholders are collaborating with the Delta State government to commemorate the United Nations World Anti-Human Trafficking Day in Asaba. And in other news, the Abdul Samad Rabiu Africa Initiative, ASR Africa, has donated state-of-the-art equipment worth 65 million naira and a fully equipped emergency ambulance to the pediatric unit of the Gwarimpa General Hospital in Abuja. This gesture is part of its health system support program. At a conference held in Abuja, the managing director of ASR Africa, Ubon Udo, also announced that it was adopting the neonatal unit of the hospital under this initiative, as well as providing 500,000 naira towards a fund being set up to assist indigent patients. According to Mr. Udo, the move is part of the BUA Group and its founder, Mr. Abdul Samad Rabiu's commitment to provide sustainable solutions to development problems across the continent.
On behalf of the chairman of ESA Africa, we're here today to provide support to the neonatal unit of this hospital. They actually wrote a letter of request. They're looking for some support for their unit, and we've looked at the letter, looked at the contents, and we paid a visit, and we did an assessment visit to see what their needs actually were. And we've come here today to provide support, to give them 65 million naira worth of equipment for the neonatal units, and also provide them with an ambulance to use for the neonatal unit. This is, of course, part of the ESA Africa mandate. We're intervening in the areas of health, education, and social development with an annual investment in lives of people of $100 million, 50 million of which we're going to spend in Nigeria, and 50 million which we're going to spend across the continent. This is one of the interventions at the secondary level of healthcare. We've done interventions at the tertiary level with a donation for a cancer center in Kwara, and also for a teaching hospital, 5 billion naira in Akwa Ibom. And we have a lot of other things planned till the end of the year.
We want to express our gratitude to this organization for the gifts of medical equipment and an ambulance that they've given our hospital. It is noteworthy that with the presence, with the receipt of these donations, it is going to improve the quality of care we give to our patients. It is also going to make the work environment more conducive for the hospital staff. And with this brand new ambulance, it's going to make it easier for us to transport critically ill patients that may require tertiary care to where they can get it.
And one of the world's largest manufacturers of electronics, Samsung Electronics, has introduced its 2021 lineup of products to the markets. The products, which include its new QLED 8K television, bespoke refrigerator, grand washing machine, and wind-free air conditioner, have been specially designed to the preference of consumers and made affordable for their pockets as well.
The introduction of Samsung Electronics 2021 new lineup of consumer electronic products begins with an evening of a relaxed cocktail hour. Business partners of the brand, top management staff from major sectors, and influencers from the entertainment industry are giving an insight into what the global electronics giant has been working on for a while.
Samsung is coming back to Nigeria with innovative new products such as Neo QLED 8K, bespoke refrigerator, grande washing machine, wind-free air conditioner. Every lineup has innovation and creativity. On top of this, Samsung Nigeria wants to embrace Nigerian consumers with our innovation.
Then they all move indoors for the unveiling and to experience the newly introduced products.
We're here to celebrate innovation, class, consistency in excellence. That is what Samsung represents.
Wonderful event.
According to the consumer electronics brand, the products have been customized to meet the consumer's needs.
One thing that Samsung does, both globally and in Nigeria, we put our consumers at the forefront of our development, So based on the consumer needs, which we have realized from the needs they communicated from the market, we opt, technology-wise from 2020 to 2021. Reason why our products are, I'll say the best so far in the Nigerian market.
I watch a lot of football, people don't believe me, and I've been dreaming of the new Neo QLED TV. It's grand, it's beautiful, and it seems like it has the most amazing features. It's just nice to know that Samsung is very intentional about its products and thinking about the people who use the product, and it's thinking about how to carry them along in very luxurious and intentional manners.
By taking a lead in innovation and technology, Samsung Electronics tries to reinvent the future by maximizing value for its consumers.
It's both slim.
And just in case you're looking for a new house to put the new electronics, the Prince Builders and Estate Developers Limited, property developers in Edo State, have launched the Phase 8 Housing Estate project located at Ekwa community along the Benin-Auchi Road in Edo State. The Chief Executive Officer of the company, Mr. Cyril Omorige, said part of the company's mission statement is to protect buyers from land grabbers, an issue he describes as recurring in the state.
The Phase 4 estate project of the Prince Builders and Estate Developers Limited in Imasabo community along Saple Road bypass in Benin City, the Edo State capital. The Prince Builders Estates have on offer here residential apartments and plots of land in an environment with access roads and basic amenities. The latest addition is Phase 8 in Ekwa community in Nwode local government area of the state. The estate's developers maintain that client protection from harassment from any quarters is a major focus for them.
The whole estate has a registered government survey and each plot of land already carries its own beacon. We also saw terrace, bungalow and duplexes in this estate. You don't get to have any issues with community or whatsoever. No community development fee, no agency fee, no any fee or whatsoever in this estate. And if you want to buy from any of our estates, the one in Saple Road, Airport Road, Ugbawa and Aduwawa, or in Edo State, Benin City, if you want to buy from us in any of our estates, you'll be rest assured that it's 100% because we do perimeter fencing around all our estate and the place is genuine.
A customer shares her experience.
They are affordable, they are reliable also. So they are one you can trust on in anything. No community problem if you buy from them. They are just reliable. They are cooking. A friend bought from them and he likes it, so he introduced me to them. So, and I also testify to that. They are reliable. Yeah.
The Prince Builders is also offering some sales promotion.
The first 50 people to come and buy from here get 100 by 100 for 650,000 naira. That is what it stands to get. So you come earlier, and the earlier you come, the better. Because after the first people, the first persons, the price will go back to the original price, which is 800,000 naira. So the earlier you come, the better for you. And be rest assured that when you buy from the Prince Builders and Estate Developers, your land is safe and secured.
As part of the promotions, the company presented plots of land to 2 secondary school students from the community as prizes for winning its quiz competition.
And for more would-be investors or already those who have invested in the market, Teniola Shoboale has more news on Business News.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Malfoy. Welcome to Business News. A federal high court sitting in Abuja has issued an interim order restraining the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria from taking over the board and management of Nikon Insurance Limited and Nigeria Reinsurance Corporation. The presiding judge, Justice A.R. Mohammed, says the court's interim order shall last for 14 days only in order to preserve the RAS and enable the court to take the motion on notice for interlocutory order of injunction. It also ordered that the defendants be served with all the processes filed in the suit together with the attached exhibits so that the defendants can clearly see the allegations of the plaintiffs against them. On Tuesday this week, AMCON announced that the board and management of the 2 insurance companies has been changed to allow efficient and effective management following approval by the National Insurance Commission over an alleged 69.4 billion naira debt. The Minister of Industries, Trade and Investment, Mr. Adeni Adebayo, has announced plans by the federal government to improve on the $2.6 million foreign direct investment inflow recorded last year. Some of the plans, according to the minister, who was speaking at a meeting in Abuja, includes tax incentives, a friendly business environment, and better service delivery.
for everyday Nigerians as well as foreign investors to have access to the wealth of knowledge that this report provides. The report has been developed in line with leading practices, effectively documenting corporate strategies being executed by local companies in their quest for sustainability. It covers more than 90 companies operating in various sectors of the economy, while providing readers with comprehensive data on private companies' human rights, stakeholder inclusion, innovation, and environmental sustainability practices. Last year, Nigeria generated $2.6 billion in foreign direct investments. I am optimistic that this report will be beneficial in providing key investors with additional information to make informed decisions on investment opportunities in the country.
Well, after struggling for supremacy at the equities markets, the bull turns out as the winner at the close of Friday's session as the month of July winds down. Ini John Mekwa has the details.
Hello and welcome to the stock market report. Well, the positive sentiment at intraday was sustained and brought the bull back to the floor of the NGX at the close of Friday's trading session. Transcorp led the top trades. Almost 160 million units of its shares were traded. The company's second quarter result was attractive and led a lot of investors towards it. So we saw a 9.68% increase in its share price to close at 1 naira 2 kobo, placing it as one of the top advances for the day. Top decliners had Learn Africa shedding 10% of its share price to close at 1 naira 35 kobo. More than 32 billion naira was regained from some of the loss in the market's total value today, and it currently stands at 20.083 trillion naira. It's a good way to end the week and the month, and we can only hope that the bull maintains its presence into the month of August. That's the stock market report. I'm Ini John Mekwa.
And that's business news tonight. It's back to Millicent for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Taniola. And the World Health Organization says the world is at risk of losing hard-won gains in fighting COVID-19 as the highly transmissible Delta variant spreads, but WHO-approved vaccines remain effective against the disease. WHO Director General Tedros Ghebreyesus says COVID-19 infections have increased by 80% over the past 4 weeks in most regions of the world. Deaths in Africa, where only 1.5% of the population is vaccinated, rose by 80% over the same period. For more international news, here's Simon Pusey in our London studios with Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Japan is extending a state of emergency in Tokyo and expanding it to new regions as the number of COVID-19 cases rise. The restrictions are being imposed in areas surrounding the capital as well as the city of Osaka. More than a third of the infections are in the capital, and Olympic organisers reported 27 new cases at the Games, bringing the total since the start of July to more than 200. But with strict rules in place, including a ban on spectators, organisers deny the event is driving the rise in cases. Meanwhile, the country where the virus originated, China, is also experiencing a surge in cases after an outbreak in the city of Nanjing, which spread to 5 provinces, including Beijing. Almost 200 people have been infected since the virus was first detected at the city's busy airport on the 20th of July. State media has been calling it the most extensive contagion after Wuhan. All 9.3 million residents, including those who are visiting, will be tested. A Hong Kong man has been sentenced to 9 years in prison after he rode a motorbike into police officers while flying a flag with a protest slogan. Tong Ying Kit, whose flag bore the phrase "Liberate Hong Kong, Revolution of Our Times," was earlier found guilty of inciting secession and terrorism. He was the first person to be charged under Hong Kong's controversial national security law. The verdict has set the tone for how future cases might be interpreted. Russia says all is well at the International Space Station after its newly docked Nauka research module briefly threw the ISS out of control. NASA said the mission control teams corrected the action and all systems are operating normally. US and Russian officials stressed that the 7 crew members aboard the space station were never in any danger. The malfunction happened 3 hours after the Nauka module docked with the ISS. An investigation into what happened is now underway. The Philippine President, Rodrigo Duterte, has restored a crucial pact allowing the presence of US troops in his country. The Visiting Forces Agreement enables the rotation of thousands of US troops in and out of the Philippines for war drills and exercises. Analysts say this is significant as the United States and its allies are facing an increasingly assertive China. Tunisian President Kais Saied has appointed a former national security advisor as the new interior minister. Saied pledged to protect rights and freedoms, but Western countries have expressed their concern over the situation. The president announced the appointment as he came under increasing international and domestic pressure to form a new government, having dismissed the parliament a few days ago. At least 4 people have died in wildfires along Turkey's southern coast, which have been raging for a 3rd day. Fires continue to burn in 6 provinces in the south of the country as more than 60 wildfires erupted this week. Authorities have launched investigations into the cause, pledging to hold to account those responsible. At least 7 people in India have died after landslides hit Simawa district of Himachal Pradesh. Huge amounts of earth and rock tumbled down the mountain, blocking one of the main national roads below. It's thought to have been caused by recent heavy flooding. It comes after 9 tourists were killed and many more injured when deadly boulders crashed down in the Sangla Valley of Himachal Pradesh state on Sunday. 2 tornadoes have hit Bucks County in Pennsylvania, destroying buildings and injuring 5 people. The first tornado hit in Ben Salem, where the roof of a car dealership collapsed. The second one is believed to have touched down in Salisbury. They have caused severe damage in the area. And finally, Brazil is better known for its hot weather and beaches, but many residents have been enjoying a rare dusting of snow.
Show de bola!
More than 40 cities in the state of Rio do Sul saw the white stuff. Families and tourists used the opportunity to build snowmen and take pictures as cars, streets and highways were covered. For some people, it was the first time they'd ever seen snow for real. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Time now for some sports news. Team Nigeria athletes Blessing Okagbare and Grace Nwokocha have advanced to the 100-meter semi-finals at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. Okagbare won her heat in a time of 11.05 seconds, while Nwokocha ran a personal best of 11.00 seconds flat. Despite setting a new African record of 3:13.60 minutes, Nigeria failed to qualify for the final of the 4x400 meters mixed relay, finishing the race in 8th place. And China leads on the medal table at the Tokyo Olympics after all sporting action on day 7. While Canada has 19 gold, 10 silver and 11 bronze. China has 19 gold, 10 silver and 11 bronze, while host Japan are in second position with 17 gold, 4 silver and 7 bronze. The US occupy the 3rd spot with a haul of 14 gold, 16 silver and 11 bronze. Russia Olympic Committee are in 4th with 10 gold, 14 silver and 14 bronze medals. And that's a wrap on sports news. Is back to you, Millicent.
Thanks, Aitunde. And news just in has it that suspected armed bandits have attacked a general hospital in Dansedo community in Mariloki government area of Zamfara State in the early hours of Friday. The chairman of Zamfara State Medical Association, Dr. Mane Bature, who confirmed the attack to Channels Television, says the armed gunmen stormed the hospital and started looking for medical doctors and nurses, and in the process abducted a ward attendant and a patient's relation. Residents of the community are appealing appealing to the federal and state governments to deploy more security personnel to the troubled area. And the main news again, troops of Operation Hadin Kai today arrested many Boko Haram fighters, including their logistics supplier, as 8 other fighters surrendered alongside members of their families in Borno State. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Millicent Walker. Have a good night. Stay safe.